If you're eyeing the Alienware AW2724DM and wondering if it's the perfect fit for your setup, then don't buy anything until you watch this video. I'll break down everything that matters, and by the time we're done, you'll have a clear idea if this monitor is right for you. Let's kick things off with a price. Right now, this monitor goes for just $230. It's definitely on the lower end when it comes to monitor pricing, so it's relatively budget friendly. But let's be honest, budget often translates to poor quality and just barely good enough. Now here's something interesting. Over the past month, it's dipped as low as $200. So if you're not in a rush, holding out for another drop might be a smart move. That said, I still think it's an incredible value for the features you get. Here's why. Let's begin with the panel. This is a 27-inch display using an IPS panel with a crisp 2560 by 1440 resolution. That's your standard 16:9 ratio, which is what most people are familiar with. And when I say IPS, I really mean fast IPS, which we'll highlight on screen. You'll benefit from excellent color accuracy, faster response times compared to traditional IPS, and a smooth refresh rate, among other perks. Now let's talk about resolution. For a 27-inch monitor, 2560 by 1440 is the absolute minimum I'd recommend. You got sharp images, readable text, and a cleaner experience overall, whether it's for productivity or gaming. Speaking of gaming, this monitor delivers. Out of the box, it supports a 165Hz refresh rate via DisplayPort 1.4 and 144Hz on HDMI 2.1. But if you want to push it further, you can overclock to 180Hz on DisplayPort. Do I think the extra 50Hz makes a huge difference? Not really, but hey, the option's there. 165Hz alone is more than enough for casual and even competitive gaming. And response times? Pretty impressive for an IPS. Expect a typical range between 2 and 4 milliseconds, with the lowest being just 1 millisecond. Now let's tackle screen tearing, something that frustrates gamers everywhere, especially when running high frame rates. This monitor supports both AMD FreeSync Premium Pro and NVIDIA G-Sync, which means your games will run smooth and tear-free. So yeah, it's definitely a beast for gaming. But how does it fare for everything else? For everyday tasks, that high refresh rate and quick response time make everything feel buttery smooth. Your cursor won't lag, dragging windows feels great, and overall system responsiveness improves. You don't need to game to appreciate those benefits. 120Hz and above makes a real difference, but what about content consumption? YouTube, Netflix, even some creative work? Well, it's excellent for that too. With a brightness of up to 600 nits, this monitor actually supports HDR. And the color coverage, you're looking at 95% DCI-P3, which is more than enough for light photo editing, video editing, or even some serious color grading. Now let's talk about the ports, an underrated yet vital feature on any monitor. Here's what you get. 2 USB 3.2 Type A ports, 1 USB 3.2 Type B port, 1 HDMI 2.1 port, and 2 DisplayPort 1.4 ports. Again, HDMI goes up to 144Hz, while DisplayPort gives you 165Hz with the overclock option. If you're gaming on a PC, you'll likely use DisplayPort. For consoles, HDMI is ready to go. Before we wrap, let's touch on design. Honestly, it's pretty sleek. The front has thin bezels on 3 sides, with a thicker bottom bezel that houses the Alienware logo. The rear has RGB lighting, totally unnecessary but undeniably cool. The stand is sturdy but take up space, so if your desk is cramped, consider a monitor arm. If you've made your decision, hit the links in the description box below, or simply just scan this QR code to check it out on Amazon right now. This has been Marty, and I'll be seeing you on the next video. Cheers!